Chapter 2. I had no time to stop at Saks Fifth Avenue or the small specialty shops in the area I passed on my way home. The unnecessary distraction Robert tossed had occupied me longer than I anticipated. I asked Brandon to drop me home instead. It's exhausting dealing with Jonas and ducking Robert, who seems to know my every move. Doesn't Robert have work to do? Doesn't Max suspect that Robert isn't doing his job? What exactly is Robert's job? Max isn't stupid, he's a brilliant man. Doesn't he have a suspicion Robert is after me? Can't he see what's going on under his nose? Is it because I'm part of the deceit? I don't know what Robert has done to me, where secretly I want to be with him. I want to sleep with him and lay in his arms, maybe for a day, maybe for a night, maybe for a week, or maybe forever. Brandon is taking the long way home. Why are you going that way? I don't have much time. I have to find something to wear tonight. Where are you going tonight, Mrs. B? Brandon peeks at me in the rear mirror. Keep your eyes on the road, I recommend. Brandon and I have a different relationship now. We are the same age, 24. We like the same music, rock, pop, and rap. And we express the same views about the world, and he knows my deepest of secrets. Not the dark ones, but the deep ones. Rescuing me from Jonas's bondage solidified our friendship. Now Brandon wants to be my protector. But that's Max's job, however, he's never around when I need him. I have a function to go to tonight. It's with my husband. My voice is upbeat, and my eyes light up as I give Brandon a secretive smile. I'm looking forward to this night. It's one of the few times I get to be out with Max, and I can wear one of the expensive fancy dresses Max buys me, I say, grinning at Brandon like a teenager. Leaning back, I remember one of Max's conversations with me on the subject of clothes and jewelry. You never dress up or wear your diamonds. You wear those running clothes and jeans all the time. They're expensive, I shouted. Isn't that what you want? For me to buy outrageously expensive shit? Does it matter if they're jeans or jogging suits as long as I spend thousands on them? It's not like you're here to take me to dinner at one of your fancy clubs you've been seen in on the front page of every newspaper in New York and around the world. He became quiet because he didn't want to argue. He wanted something carnal at the time. Brandon drops me off in front of my building and goes through the usual protocols of me waiting until he opens the door. I'm out and thinking of Max and the children. I nod at the doorman and pass the security desk on my way to our private elevator. I turn and see Brandon watching like a guard dog with his steely blue eyes, making sure I'm safe. Someone has stopped the elevator on the top floor. Maybe it's Lapita. I glance at my watch. She needs to walk the dog about this time. I think she's trying to catch him. The dog breaks and runs up and down the hall when he sees room to escape. He's not so much unlike me. I'm looking to escape. Reluctantly, I move to the public elevator. I hit the button, and it opens before it has a chance to move upward. The doors open, and I open my mouth in surprise. Good evening, Mrs. Blackstone. Robert is standing with a young woman holding her hand. I don't know why I feel the way I do, but my cheeks flush, and I have jealousy written all over my face. My eyes widen, I suck in a deep breath, and I answer him. Mr. Montgomery. Good day. This is one of Robert's new pets. I haven't seen her before. Her hair is chestnut, long and shiny and flowing past her shoulders. Her eyes are dark and inquisitive. She glances down at me. She's the usual tall beauties that I've seen him with on more than one occasion. He appears to like them tall and young, but what is his fascination with me? I know what mine is with him. He could be Max with blue eyes with more time to devote to a woman, and he's a man that's free. He's not encumbered by businesses throughout the world. I'll see you tonight, Mrs. Blackstone. I give him a slight glance and turn my back on him. My head is forward, counting the elevator buttons when I spoke. I don't want eye contact with him. I'm reminded of the night at Jonas's bondage club. A night and day I want to forget, as well as the conversations we just had at that place. Did you have a pleasant evening? I'm forced to raise my head, turn, and stare at him. Of course not, you arrogant handsome fuck. It was pleasant indeed, I say, making empty, fruitless conversation while hoping the small talk cease. I shoot him a closed, cheeky smile. My eyes are intense. I fiddle with my purse and hands, hoping this ride would come to an end, and thank goodness it did. The elevator opens one floor under me, and he steps aside, extends his hand, and allows his girlfriend to exit the elevator before him. He holds the door with one hand, and with the other, he hands her the key. Turning from me to face her with his hand on the door, he says, "I'll join you shortly. Go in and make yourself comfortable. Pour yourself a drink. I have something to discuss with Mrs. Blackstone." I backed up against the elevator wall. "What's so important where you would leave your little playmate waiting?" My tone is cool, and my eyes are meeting his with defiance. "You. I felt the need to explain to you," he says to me. My eyes narrow. "What do you have to explain to me?" He makes me nervous, and I have to get away from him. I move to hit the button, but then I feel his warm, strong hand over mine. I try pulling it away, and he reaches for my hand and pulls me out of the elevator. I look around because I'm nervous. "I can't function without being close to you. You're driving me crazy. I love your smell." Robert pushes my hair aside and sniffs at it and trails his lips against my neck. He raises his face and watches at me. His eyes are haunting and desperate. Desperate men do desperate things. Like standing in the sight of cameras and fondling his boss's wife. I jerk my hand from his and move back to the elevator. The door has closed and it's moving. "That's not my problem," I find myself whispering. "Now let me go. Before you leave me, I want you to know I always get what I want. And I don't want that woman in my apartment." I gaze at him. That's obvious. And I turn and face the elevator. I keep looking up at the cameras, wondering if someone will report the footage, or Max will ask to see it. He probably won't, but in the back of my mind, that's all I'm thinking about. It would be different if I were completely innocent. I could dispel any notion of having anything to do with Robert with a clear conscience. But I'm guilty as hell. If I had committed a crime of murder, I would be in real trouble, because there was no way I could put on a face that would express innocence and wholesomeness. "Well, you won't get your way this time, Robert." Blinking my eyes, I turn away from him, afraid that someone will exit their apartment, or I'll be on camera with Robert. It would be disastrous if Max saw Robert accosting me, and me not putting up resistance. "You can't keep ignoring me. You know that you want me. I can see how jealous you were when you saw my friend." I'm standing along the wall where he has backed me. I don't hear the elevator. It has to be coming. Where is it? I'm breathing hard. Why doesn't that woman come to find out why it's taking Robert so long? I would. I can hear your breath. You want me. Robert moves closer to me, so close, I can feel his penis invade my body through my jeans. He leans down to kiss me, and my eyes close because I want him to kiss me, and then I hear the elevator. I push him away and hit the button, tapping it over and over. The elevator stops at his floor. I need to get on it, But I don't want to leave him, not when he has a woman in his apartment. I have a chance to escape before he reduces my life to chaos, and me a willing participant in my own destruction. The door opens and out steps Max. "What are you doing here?" Max is glaring at me, somewhat confused. He raises an eyebrow and I see his forward crease. I glance at Max and I look at Robert. Holy hell, give me an excuse, Robert. Freezing, I never could think on my feet. Robert smiles. "I didn't expect you today, Blackstone. I have a visitor. A girl you might know." He holds out his hand and Max shakes his hand. It appears he disarms Max with the statement about a girl you might know. "I met Mrs. Blackstone on the elevator with me and my girlfriend, and I asked her to help my friend pick out a dress for the black tie affair tonight." "Oh right," Max says with a closed-guarded smile. His forehead smooths. He must have known Robert's reputation with the women. But looking in his eyes, he didn't trust him one bit. Max's expression of mild anger changes, and he gives a disarming smile. "We can discuss the Hong Kong deal at my office on Monday." Max takes my hand and kisses me on the lips. "My wife and I have some catching up to do, and I bet you're eager to be with your friend," Max adds as he pulls me into the elevator. Max is holding on to me. He places his hands around my waist. He kisses me on the lips. Robert's spell is broken. All I've ever wanted was a little time with Max. He backs me up and presses his body to me, and then the elevator opens into our apartment. Where is everyone? "Lupita must have taken the boys to see the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center," I say to him. He drops his satchel and keys near and pulls me into the living area. He doesn't look around. His eyes are focused on me. He doesn't stop to get a drink. He walks ahead of me, holding my hand with me trailing after him. Max's breathing is intense, as if he had walked a mile. He turns to me as we stroll into the bedroom. "I think it's time to get my Christmas present while everyone is out. We can kill two birds with one stone." He takes off his black jacket. "I want you in the shower," his voice is demanding. I glance up at him. "Now," he insists, slapping me on my butt. I step out of my shoes, then my pants and thong, throw my shirt down on a chair, and I stand in front of him naked. He has a look in his eyes. It's a look of a sexual adolescent, but with the eyes of a 30-something man who has never come to terms with his insatiable desire for kinky sex. No amount of therapy will cure him of that. The world is filled with kinky men. I'm surrounded by two of them, and I'm hot for both. But I can only have one. If I want a life with Max, I'd better get rid of Robert. Before, Max would take me in the shower, but I didn't want that. I want comfort. Max is the dominant now, and his sexual desires are specific and singular, and they have to be met. He wants me on the floor, in the shower, or bent over a table tied with restraints. It doesn't matter to him how I'm shackled, as long as in the end he's inside of me, and he's in control. After Max had his moment of marital indiscretion, as he puts it, he's been trying to prevent me from doing the same by assuming the dominate role. Too late. "I can't wait to get home to Montana," he says, kicking off his shoes and pulling his socks off, throwing them to the side as he steps out of his suit pants. "We haven't used our room." He smiles at me with an unsettling, mysterious smile. I know the room he's talking about. The one with all the instruments, toys, ropes, and tables. It was my hope that he had outgrown our sexual rituals, but he appears to need it more since he is under stress selling his businesses. I sit on the bed with him standing looking down at me. Max is in his zone, and nothing will get him out of that, but me giving him what he wants. "Max, we need to talk." "Can't we talk later?" Perhaps in the limo. I can't talk now with you looking so sexy. His eyes waver between me and his belt laying across the bed. What kind of memories is that belt raising? I see his penis enlarge through his boxers. This is serious, Max. I want to confess to him about Robert, ask him or beg him to fire him. With Robert gone, we can live in peace, or something resembling what I need as peace. But Max pushed me gently on my back, his knee making an indentation in the silken white sheets as he lowers his body over mine, his magnificent chest showing his corded muscles when he leaned to kiss me. He placed his mouth over mine. His desire for my body is obvious. His hands shake as he caressed my thighs. His touch is warm and firm. I didn't know how hungry I had been for him. He positions his taut body over me as his eager lips cover mine. His tongue meets mine and he sucks it hard. I open my mouth wide, deepening the path down my throat. I'm drenched between my legs. He reaches between my legs, inserts his finger and smiles. He brings his finger to his nose casually. Max knows I'm beyond wet and what that means. Easy access. This smell will always be with me. That's why I can't stand to be away from you for long. I don't know, but I can't get you out of my mind. I thought once we were married the newness of you would wear off, and I could function, but it's getting worse. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have you in my life. His green eyes are telling. He penetrates me with his broad, beautiful, full smile. I run my finger along the indentation his dimples make in his gorgeous face. His large hand is wrapped around my neck, under my chin, and the other hand is between my legs. His finger settles on my taut nipple, and he flicks it once and intense passion rushes through me. I adore your body, he whispers, looking down at me with his finger deep in my fleshy opening. What I wouldn't do for you. Just ask me and it's yours. He's kissing me, and his hand moves from my extended nipple to cup my neck. He pulls out of my soft opening and pushes my legs apart. Before I can stop Max, he slides down, and his face is between my legs. Stop. I need to take a shower, and I want to talk to you. What's wrong with you, Alex? You've been acting like this for months. Is it me? Is there no way you can forgive me? It wasn't him. Maybe I couldn't forgive myself. Maybe until I get Robert out of my mind, there will be no way I can function again with the man I couldn't live without. It's not you. It's me, I caution. Where have I heard that cliché before? It always begins with those words, and then the breakup. I watch as Mr. Black's face changes. His face telegraphs what he desires. Max wants to lose himself inside of me. Forget something, and I'm not cooperating. He wants to tie me to the bed, fuck me hard front and back, and I'm not with him on that. In truth, I haven't wanted that since he brought Robert into our lives. I make a plea. Why don't we stay home tonight, and then we can do everything you want, I say, because if I see Robert, I don't want my handsome husband, and clearly it is me. He stands. I have to attend tonight. It's important. Max's voice is low, deep, and composed. His mind is made up. What could be more important than for us to be together, and for us to make love like we used to? I ask him. I'm lying on my back, my legs are open. I'm exposed. Max moves away from me, and he's standing looking down at me. He's hard. The obvious need is showing with his body. He salivates, gazing on me. His eyes wanders from my breasts to my mound and between my legs, but I'm cold because he doesn't want to hear anything from me. He wants to satisfy his sexual appetite first. But I need to confess. Selling my companies like I promised you. That's more important. Do you want that, or do you want me to continue to leave you and the boys for months at a time, coming home when necessary. I didn't know what I want exactly. If I move away from New York and back to Montana, then when will I see Robert? This had to be the craziest thought that ever entered my mind. What am I doing to myself? I'm ready to throw away my life with Max for Robert, a man I know nothing about. Max I've wanted from day one. But did I really know Max when I agreed to marry him, and do I know him now? Since you can't decide whether you want to answer me, or have me make love to you, then I'm taking a shower, wait for the children to come home, and then I'm getting dressed for the affair. I suggest you do the same, if you want me as your husband. Max's words shock me. We are now reaching an impasse in our marriage. I didn't think I was that transparent. Has he resigned himself to cutting his losses? Did I force him to decide between me and his business? Max trudged into his restroom, leaving me on the bed. Sitting up and wondering about Max, I decided to take a shower and try to forget his biting words. I don't know what happened to the evening. I knew that it didn't go well. We ate in silence, played with the children in silence, and walked the dog in silence. Then another shower, and we dressed in silence, occasionally glancing at each other naked. I wondered when Max would ask to go to our apartment we kept for our date nights, where we would tie each other up and commit obscene sex acts together. Acts only a married couple could get away with. When I had finished dressing, I walked down the stairs to find Max waiting for me in the living room. He stood with one hand in his pocket, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. He has a drink in his right hand. He placed the drink down when he felt me near and turned. He looked handsome as ever, with his black silk designer tux and white shirt and traditional black bow tie. He smiles with his open wide green eyes. He takes my hand, and we enter the elevator in silence. I felt the heat of his passion for me when he placed his arms around me, but all I could think about is how many times I had seen Robert walk into the elevator. I couldn't shake that feeling for Robert. I'm a woman who wears her desire for a man, uncomfortable, like a tight pair of shoes. It was that way with Max, and now Robert. We waited for Max's chauffeur to arrive in front of the apartment with the car. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Blackstone. You two make a stunning couple, the doorman said happily as he tipped his hat and opened the door. He followed us out to the sidewalk. Are you taking the limo or taxi tonight? The doorman questioned. The limo. It's coming now. The car stopped in front of us, and Max opened the car door. He enjoys doing that bit of chivalry when he's home. I stepped in. He entered behind me. The driver started the car and drove off as soft Christmas music filled the quiet between us. Max turned to me and broke his overpowering reserve as we listened to the soft, easy song, I'll Be Home for Christmas. He held my hand tight and his eyes skimmed my dress. Do you realize that the invitation says black and white, it's a black tie affair and you're wearing a red dress? I thought he wouldn't notice. I thought this dress was more in the tradition of the holiday season. Black and white is boring and old. I shoot him a I don't give a fuck glance and turn away. I didn't have a suitable black dress to wear. That's why I headed out shopping early. But before I made it to the stores, Jonas or Robert delayed me. All I had to choose from was this red dress. Why didn't you remind me? You looked at me several times and didn't say a word. It wasn't Max's job to remind me. I admit I had been uncooperative the whole day and at odds with him. My face showed it more now than ever. I had been throwing a tantrum. I had a right. I am 24 and he's 30-something, and isn't he the adult in the room? His voice is soft. His tone is conciliatory. I think you look beautiful, Alex. I thought you wanted to look different. And you do. You will be the most alluring, sexy woman at the dinner. He passes his hands around my neck. Lately, he has been focusing on my neck. You wore those diamond earrings and matching necklace I gave you for a wedding present, and that makes me happy. Max turns to me and touches the necklace. His hands moves across my neck and he leans into me. I should have taken you earlier. I'm so hot for you. If I disappear now between your legs, do you think the driver would notice? Max says, whispering in my ear. Is he serious? If you give me an orgasm, it will show on my face, and I won't be able to walk in these shoes, I warn. The only thing that will show on your face is that you're a woman who's being loved and fucked regularly. Everyone will know that you're satisfied with me, even if I'm not around. Who did he want to give that impression to? I wondered. We're never out together, so this will be my time to show everyone how lucky I am and how beautiful you are, Max says with his bright green eyes focused on my breasts. He appeared to give himself credit, as if he had discovered me, like I was an actress or model, and he found me in a magazine and said, she's the one. That will change. I want to show you off more often. I want you to accompany me overseas, Max says, smiling at me. You will have to be home for people to see us, and know we're married with a family. And speaking of family, how can I travel with you, Max? We can't take the children away again. Maxim is getting older, and he's just getting used to New York, his school and friends. It will be bad enough when we make a transition to Montana. Don't say any more, Alex. I've been trying to sell off everything I have. It's that man you almost married to spite me, your stepfather, Charles Street John, who's standing in my way. He's trying to force me to sell for pennies, on the dollar. Those companies are for my sons and you. They need a father more than a company. I need a husband. We don't have to have all that money to be happy. It's all that money that you found attractive, Max says, turning facing forward away from me. He believes it's his money, and not him, the man, who I found attractive and satisfying. I didn't say that. You're wrong. I'm not like that, and I've never been. I never had money. All I wanted was you from the day I met you, but you left me to see about that brother of yours. I didn't like where the conversation was going, so I said nothing after that. So now you speak in the past about how you wanted me, and now you don't? He's looking at me, begging me to say something. I look into his handsome face. How could I not want him? Any woman with eyes could see that he's beyond gorgeous, and he's much more than I could ever hope to get, given the life I've had before I met him. I came to the conclusion once more that it was me and not him, and I had to do something about that. Maybe let him go, and for me to grow up, before all would be lost. Max reaches for my hand as a peace offering. I place my hand in his, because I didn't want this to go to a place where our marriage can't be saved. I give him a warm smile, lean in, and kiss him on the lips. The feelings I have for Max comes rushing back, and I'm overwhelmed by the intense sexuality of him. When I look at Max, I want him in me. We arrive just in time. I'm feeling better, and I have come to a conclusion about him. I am eternally in love with Max, but my passion lies with Robert. I know I can't do without Max, even though I've tried. I can't speak for him. He spoke for himself when he crossed an ocean to stop me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I almost married Charles Street John, my birth mother's husband. I didn't know her, and I knew him even less when I agreed to that unholy union with him. It was sheer frustration with Max when Charles came into my life. The car slows to an abrupt stop in front of the museum. Max murmurs something about damn press when he helps me out of the car. I glanced up the stairs and Max turns to me and says, This is the last time I'm going to one of these social functions. I want to be skiing and hunting with my sons this time next year. Max is smiling and tightening his grip on my hand. I think that declaration was to pacify me. Just don't let me trip and fall. He looks down at my gold Jimmy Choos and grins. Fall into my arms, baby, and you will never touch the ground, he says, looking into my eyes. I adore you, Alex. I hope that will be enough when I see Robert. The cameras are recording. Finally, they stop when we reach the stairs, and we climb without any shoe problems, but I hold tight onto Max's arm. I hear one cameraman say, "That's Maximillion Blackstone. You never see him with a woman." I hear he's married. Boy, is she hot. I hope that's his wife, because if she isn't, the wife will find out tomorrow. This is the headlines in the style section of the New York Times. They turn away from us, catching the next unsuspecting couple, and cameras are rolling again. We look at each other and smile because he's my husband, and the joke is on them, or anyone who looks to elevate this story to the gossip pages of the papers. I'm sure if some eager young reporter probes further into our lives, they will find plenty to gossip about.